Hi, Vaibhav. What's up?
I'm very good. How are you? How's life? Is everything okay?
I am good. Everything's great. Work is just work and weekends here, so that's good. But are you excited to do this? You're my first guest.
I am privileged. I feel privileged to be like one of
You
your.
feel privileged. No, I feel grateful that you're doing this. Thank you so much for like coming in. I also feel like it's long due. I remember I asked you in like 2024, would you do this? And then also you said yes. Now also you said yes. So I really appreciate that.
I guess 3 years down the line, 3 years down the line, if you'll ask me again, I'll say yes.
I will not ask you 3 years down the line. I'll probably ask you 6 months down the line, given how much design is changing. And like, given we don't even know at this point where we will be in 6 months, and conversations are moving fast. So I feel like definitely I might ask you like 6 months, 3 months down the line that, listen, we need an update. Let's do this again. But yeah, thank you for saying yes again and again. I think you know what I've realized? I feel like if some people say yes, it also gives courage to like other designers to come in and like talk about design stuff, talk about their experience, and it's good that you're the one who's like starting this. But yeah, on that note, we'll start with like introducing you. So just like, maybe tell a little bit about how you got into design. Are you a designer by like education? How, like, for how long have you been in this industry? Let's just start with that.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Vaibhav Verma, and it's been around 6 years that I've been working as a designer, as a product designer. And I started off my career in 2020. I would like to go back a little from there. It started off like my engineering started in 2016. I enrolled in engineering. It was electronics and communication, just like any Indian general male, because you don't know what else to do in your life. So you get into engineering. But like within like I guess first few months, I realized that maybe this engineering is something that I'm not going to do in my life because I think like whatever they were teaching, whatever the environment was altogether was something like I felt like I did not connect with it properly. But luckily, I got into a theater society. It was like one of the most active societies of college and like one of the most talked about society because when you get into the college for the first time, you want these kind of things, poetry, theater, and just to because I guess till 12th you're kind of bounded a lot in your life, at least in Indian schools, I believe that. So
Yeah, especially for kids who take science for sure. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So you're kind of bounded, and that was when I realized, okay, so maybe now I have kind of did whatever the society was asking from me. Now I have around 4 years, I can do whatever I want to do in my life. So I kind of took that thing. So I kind of struck a deal with my parents that as long as I'm not getting a backlog, I can do whatever I want. So I was like, cool. That seems like a fair deal. So I went ahead with the theater. So I would say my entire college time was theater and poetry. Entirely, I used to do stage shows. I used to go out of Delhi also to perform. It was amazing, amazing experience. Back then, I don't think Instagram and YouTube was really at that peak that everybody was doing it. But like now, I kind of regret I should have done it very before. But anyhow, I really did.
Attendance issues during that time, if you were like doing poetry
I
and
guess I
stuff like
was.
that.
I guess I was again very privileged that my office or my college was very chill in the attendance scene. We could be anywhere, so that was also one very good thing.
That always helps, yeah. Because otherwise you're just getting backlogs if you don't attend. That happens for like a lot of kids in colleges and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. So I was pretty lucky in that my college was pretty chill in that thing. It was then. I don't know about it now, so I have not really seen what is happening right now. But like back then, there was no issues. So yeah, I did all that, and I really enjoyed doing it. And I kind of regret not doing YouTube and Instagram too much at that time. But okay, no worries. So never say never. Or like it's never too late, I would say. So yeah, anyhow, I did all that, and there was certain process that we were following while we were making the plays. Whenever let's say we are making a play on let's say transgenders. We used to go and do research. We used to do primary research, secondary research. We used to go to the NGOs. We used to talk to them. We used to do the stakeholder mapping, like who all are involved in this thing. Let's say police is involved, NGOs are involved, society is involved, transgenders themselves are involved. We used to talk to them. We used to write down all the research points. We also used to do the secondary research. We used to read what are articles out there, what are the problems that they're facing, what exactly the stigma is all about, what are some of the research papers that people have published, all of those things when we were making the play. So we used to do research, then we used to get into ideation, like what all are the problems that we are gonna solve through this play, what all are the things that we want to show through this play, what are the chunks that there are gonna be, how exactly the pace of the play is going to be defined. So you see, like the entire design thinking process was something that we were anyway using in making that play. We really used to talk about information architecture of the entire play also, because like how exactly information is being drawn out through the play. What was the research fund that we used? Which dialogues are going to depict that? How can we polish the dialogues? How can we polish the music? All of those things. So I
So the
realized that
design process has
we were
always,
any
yeah, it's
exactly, exactly. So
basically
I kind of
always existed. Yeah.
exactly. So I kind of realized in a retrospective manner now that we were using design thinking altogether. But at that time, I guess design for me was just graphic design, because there was a designer in our team, and he used to just make the posters and social media posts and all that. So I thought, okay, cool. Maybe design is just using Photoshop, Illustrator. That's it. That's what design is, according to me. But I guess when I started off doing it, like there was a startup that I was working for at that time, maybe just 2 3 months, and they gave me the work of marketing and social media, to be honest, just to do that. And I got introduced to Canva back then, and Canva was something which was very interesting. um, and I would say that maybe a kind of introduction to design started from there, but more than that, I would say it was an accident where I got into a product design altogether. Was when there is a company that came into my college in the final year. It was, I guess, October final year, 2020, 2019, 2019. And they were hiring developers, marketing, and designers. So I was like, okay, cool. I can maybe give it a shot for marketing. And at that time, I was preparing for CAT. So because there were very few non-tech companies which used to come into our college for the placements, and I was like, if I'm not able to make through those non-tech companies, MBA is the only thing that I have to do, because that is what Indian males are made to believe. If nothing works out after engineering, go for MBA.
MBA,
So I
it's quite interesting. I feel like MBA is like everyone thinks that MBA does help you in like a lot of sense, and it does. For me also, like the moment I got into design, I knew that MBA is not gonna happen because I was also actually preparing for MBA. I'd given CAT twice and everything, and then I shifted. But my dad truly believed, and I think somewhere he still does, that you still can do an MBA and like it will help you. And I'm like, I'm a designer. I don't need an MBA, but like I think in India, I think that really exists, that like do an MBA and like it'll actually help you and stuff. It does in a lot of senses, but I'm glad that for designers you don't have those exams a lot because CAT's not easy.
Yeah, obviously, like anywhere, I would say it's not always about just the CAT exam, it's about the competition. It's about the number of people who are getting into it. Exam as such, obviously, every exam is difficult if you see it from that perspective. It's about the competition at the end of the day. But yeah, anyhow, I started with that thing, and accidentally I went to the college and I was like, okay, cool. Let me just go for the marketing position. It seems like a good package for a starter thing. Let me just start with it. So I went for the marketing. And by the time I went to the college, they were like, we have already closed all the positions for marketing. So now you have only two options available. One is UI UX design and one is development. So I was like, I've already ditched my CAT class for today. And if I am in the college today, I should at least sit for the placement. So I was like, what should I choose between design and development? And till then, I had no experience about design other than just using Canva. That's it. No other knowledge about design altogether. So I just went ahead with that. And my first round was uh, just basic aptitude test. Like there were 40 questions, 35 questions were basic aptitude like maths, logical reasoning, and all of that. And 5 questions were design aptitude. So, and those 5 questions were very important, because if you do not clear those 5 questions, It doesn't matter if you have scored 35 out of 35 in the other questions, you will not pass that test. And it was pretty simple one, as in like, what is sans serif, what is serif, what is color theory, um, who was the chief designer of Apple. These were like basic questions which I kind of knew already because I felt like these are more like a general knowledge question. And so yeah, I kind of cleared that round. And interestingly, there were only 4 or 5 people who had made through that round. And now the second round was to get onto Figma. Like they had given an assignment. You have to work on that in the 1 or 2 hour. You have to submit that, and then you will be evaluated for the next round. It was done in college. It was conducted in college. So I went ahead with that, and so basically, just after I cleared my first round, I went to the HR and I'm like, okay, what's the second round? She explained me all of this in the second round. I'm like, okay, which software are we gonna use? She said, you don't know which software you're gonna work on? I'm like, no, what softwares do you use in design? I don't know, I just know Canva. She's like, are you really considering to apply for this position? Because I don't really think you qualify for this thing. You do not seem to have knowledge of design altogether. I'm like, don't worry, just tell me the name of the softwares. Maybe I'll just see some YouTube videos. I can maybe just figure something out. Like you're telling me you can learn design in within 1 hour from YouTube. Like I'm not saying I'll learn design, but at least I'll learn the tool. And I guess in engineering, I have cleared my semester exams by just studying one night before. So 1 hour YouTube video, I guess, seems like a fair deal to me. So she just told me about Figma altogether, and I just saw a few videos on YouTube about Figma, like how to make basic rectangles, text tools, basic how to use that. Then I got into the second round, and interestingly, all other people had already left because they were like, I don't think we really want to get into design. Maybe we just cleared the first round, but let's just leave. We anyway don't want to become a designer. So there was only one more person who was with me till the second round.
So very less competition.
Yeah, yeah. And even this other person who was for this role, he had already done one internship in the summer internship, basically after the third year in design. So I was like, okay, I don't think I'm anyway gonna make it because this person already has experience. So let's just go ahead with it. Now assignment was pretty interesting. The assignment was easy. Easy as in like it did not require me to make designs. It was just ideation thing. So the question was that the assignment was make an app. Uh, like suppose we are in the future. We have developed a time machine. Now you have to make an interface of this time machine, as in like how are you going to travel between time and most importantly, how are you gonna pay? How exactly the concept of currency and money is gonna work in this interface? Make the screen of that. This was a question, and I was like, do we really use that? Like, how does that make sense? But I'm like, okay, cool. I'm a writer. In theater, we have done weird things, so maybe this thing is also one of those. I did all the ideation. I wrote all the things which I felt like I started from the basic hypothesis studies. Okay, what all time machine would be doing, what timelines would we be working on, how is it the concept of money would be at that time, la 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 la, all of those things. I just wrote all of those things and just made some wireframes of that on Figma. Those were the worst wireframes I ever made. Like there's no alignment, nothing, no, weird colors, weird typography, weird spacing. I don't know. Like if I see it today, I might just kill myself. The worst designs I've ever created. Just 3 screens I created, but I wrote a very long paragraph onto explaining how things will work, how exactly the user journey would be, how users will interact with it, la 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 la, and all of those things. So I worked on that entirely, and I just submitted it. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not gonna make it. This just ends now. So cool. I just went ahead with that. And after a few hours, I get to know I cleared that round. And the guy who had done the internship, he did not clear that round. I'm like, okay, maybe these people, I don't know what are they looking for. So they asked me to be in office the next day for one final round. I was like, okay, cool. I've just one entire night to learn about design now. So what all can I learn? So I went to my one of my designer friend. He was doing masters in design at that time. So I called him. I'm like, bro, teach me everything about design in one night. Color theory, typography, Figma, Adobe, everything. Just tell me everything, how the process works and all that. So he gave me some resources, and there were many Medium articles, YouTube videos. I just watched all that all night. I used Adobe XD that night just to know how basic layout works in XD and all that. Next day, I went to the office, and they gave me another assignment. I needed to design a clock, an alarm clock, where you have only two buttons. But now you have to do multiple functions. You have to set the alarm. You have to snooze the alarm, you have to cancel the alarm, you have to set the time, and also there are many functionalities, but you have only two buttons. How are you gonna do that? So again, I don't think it was more than design, it was more of ideation question, I believe. So again, I just made some basic designs on Adobe XD and I just showed them. And then was my final round. And it was with like a very senior person and one HR. They were sitting over there. I gave them a resume and they're like, okay, Weber, one thing that we all know in this room, and I don't think I guess we should just address the elephant in the room. We all know that you don't know design. Let's just confront on this thing. We all know that you don't know design. And because the designs that you have created look very shit. I'm like, fair. I know that. I know that. But I guess there is one reason that you have brought me over here. Because you are the only people who have selected me. I don't know what you guys are thinking. They said one of the only reasons why you're selected till this round is because you are just standing. You're not going back.
You're just putting in the efforts, you're giving it a shot, I think, which is quite cool, like because you had nothing to lose as well.
Exactly, exactly. And they were like, that's the only reason you are till here. And we just want to know why you're interested, why you're not leaving. Everybody else has had left already. Why did you not leave? I'm like, it just seems interesting. The problem statements were interesting. Anyhow, I felt like maybe this can be something that we can do in life. I did a lot about design also. Maybe I felt that money wise also it seems good in the future. So maybe I see it as a career right now. I don't know anything right now, but like within one day, I have at least learned enough that I can talk to you. I'm sitting in the final round, so I guess I can do more in this thing. I have enough interest. So they said, okay, the job will start in June 2020, and it is October 2019. So we're around 6 months. Do you think you will be at a state six? I guess more than that, 8 months. So they said, do you think you can learn more about design in this time? I'm like, yeah, I guess 8 months are more than enough. Like, I can just do any course on Coursera or Udemy. I can learn about design. That's not an issue. They said, okay, cool. Then they just asked some more questions about like how I see the world and what are my takes on like just basic HR questions. Okay. Uh, I cleared that round. I,
You got the job.
I got the job.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I came back home. It was 5th of October, I remember. 9th of October was my birthday. And I just abandoned CAT. I never went for another class after that. I'm like, I'm done. I am not going to go for CAT now. So yeah,
Wow,
I
because the
had
exam was also must have been 2 months away, right? Like it's always last week of November is when you have your cat. Wow, that was it a relief?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. A very big relief, I would say, because I guess the placement season is very weird because when some of your friends start to get placed and you are not getting placed, you kind of start to, I guess, cut yourself from the group altogether. I've seen people doing that. I have done that too, and that really affects a lot because there's a friend of yours who has been placed for a let's say a very good package, and you have not gotten placed. You will feel weird around them. So, but yeah, it was a very big relief for me. And I just started traveling after that because I guess I always wanted to travel, but I was just kind of stuck with all of this thing. I traveled. I guess 19 December, I just went to Mumbai. It was I moved Indigo, moved Indigo. I went for that. I visited Mumbai, and then in January, I guess I went to Kerala. In January, I went to Kerala 2020, and then after that, February 2020, I went to Lucknow. It was again just some random visit, tourist visit, and then I booked flights for Udaipur. I felt like okay, cool, let's just go to Udaipur also. But yeah, March 2020, COVID. COVID started. So yep. Anyhow, that is how things started, and that was also a time when people were canceling the offers for many people, many because of the COVID and all. But like luckily, I did not face that. Rather, my joining was pre-pond. Like uh, my speculated joining was 15th of July, but they pre-poned it to 1st June. I'm like, okay, cool, I can join it. So that's a good thing.
So your first job was only remote in that sense.
Yes, yes. I would say like my entire first job was remote. They never asked me to be in office. Yeah, they never asked me to be in office.
That must have been pretty cool to just like, because obviously we like even I graduated in 2019 and I feel we were shifting that mindset of like, okay, college is going to be over, fun is going to be done, and we'll have to go to this like office space and work and get serious about life and this and that. And I feel like work from home was like a completely different thing, which like in my head, I was not like mentally prepared for. How was that experience for you?
For me, to be honest, I had nothing to compare to. I did not know what the office life looks like. And at that time, maybe nobody was even comparing that because everybody was kind of doing work from home at that time. Nobody was anyway going to office. So everybody was like, okay, cool, let's just work from home. So I had no anchor. I had no first point that I could compare it with. Obviously, I had heard from the people that office looks like this, office looks like that, office life is this, that, all that. But yeah, luckily I never got through that. And I guess after working for 1 year, they had also started calling some people to office, but they never asked me to be in office because they had limited office space. So they were like, we want less people in office because still COVID regulations and all that was still there. They're like, don't worry, you don't have to come. You can still work from wherever you are. I'm like, okay, cool. So yeah, that is how the first job happened, and that is how my introduction to design happened. Also, like meanwhile, in this time when I was traveling, also after getting the placement, I also started with some good courses on Coursera. There was interaction design by UC San Diego. It was a specialization of 8 courses. I did that. I did some of the Udemy courses. I started to post. That is from where I guess my first post towards LinkedIn also started. I started posting my assignments of these specialization online courses on LinkedIn and tagging the people over there just to get a better perspective of that. I started writing Medium articles also since then.
I guess that always becomes like your first project in your portfolio. Like for me also, I did this online course, and that is how like your portfolio gets built. So yeah, I get that. But also I remember that's how we also met, right? Like in like back at Cars24, the product team was not always coming into the office. So I've seen you like a bunch of times in the office, once a week, once in 2 weeks. So I guess that I think that's been really good for you that you've had this opportunity to always work from home and then like travel and everything. Because when I was there and I was in the marketing team, their structure looked very different. So I think we were traveling, I guess, 3 to 4 times a week to the office. And I also feel like after COVID, this whole work from home opportunity for all of us, right? Like travel has become so hectic. I had I always had something to compare it to. I started interning pretty early back in like 2017, and I used to commute 2 hours on one side to get to the place where I was working. So 4 hours of commute used to like be wasted. But work from home really provides this opportunity to utilize those 4 hours, which I think is incredible. Like, which is, I think more and more people are opting for that. You can travel and, just stuff like that. But one thing that I really wanted to know was so you did engineering and then you shifted to design, which usually happens so much in product design, right? Like, a lot of engineers come in and it also helps them because it helps them collaborate with the developers better. They understand like back end, front end a lot better. So, was that an advantage for you? And yeah, like how did that work out for you? Because again, like a lot of product managers have like an engineering background. So, and they say like there's this triangle that creates a product which includes like a designer, a developer, and a product manager. So, did that provide you with like some advantage because you already knew like a lot of things about engineering, constraints, advantages, things like that?
I would say like knowing about the technical stuff of development, I don't know anything. And so did any computer engineering graduate. So nobody knows anything. Engineering doesn't teach you anything on the hard skills. But at least I was able to understand the logical side of the things. I would say like maybe engineering helps you out over there that you are able to maybe see the logical frameworks in a better way. You are able to deduce things. You are able to solve problems with a more framework kind of way, I guess. So that is one thing that maybe engineering did for me. I guess the thing that rather helped me build my better relation with engineers was just my engineering background. So we had the same jokes. We could relate to the same jokes because we all of had been in engineering college. So I guess that was like one of the biggest. gelling points for us. Similarly, for product manager were also from engineering background. So we used to relate on that thing because we knew how things are in engineering college and how engineering degree and all of that. So we had the shared trauma. So I guess the shared trauma was one of the reasons for us to bond. I don't think like my knowledge in tech, my knowledge in coding or all that was anyway helpful. Nobody knows coding anyhow. Everybody learns coding other than college. Nobody teaches coding in college. That's the reality. So yeah, yeah.
That actually is really helpful for me to hear because I came from an economics background, and even hearing like things like back end and front end, they were so new to me. And I remember when I got introduced to the engineering team at Cars24, again, that was my first job. Someone said to me that, you'll have to like discuss this with the front end. Is this animation possible? And I was so intimidated. I was like, these words are only like very, very new for me. I used to like Google APIs and like just all of this stuff. And like I used to just like read up the definitions because I had no context. So for me, it was like I had to learn like a lot of these things which did not come naturally to me. But yeah, I did not know that like, I mean, obviously, I'm sure like people learn things after and like you learn everything at work. But yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So all the things that you were doing, like Googling API and all that, were the same thing that I was doing. It's the same thing that everybody does. So don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about that. I have enough trust over the education system of my country that 95% of the engineering graduates do not know much about coding when they start off with their career. At least I can vouch for that for the people who passed in 2020. I don't know what is happening after that. I don't know how exactly the college things are working after that. But at least in my group of people or my generation of people, I don't think people really had that much knowledge about it. Everybody learns things while doing the job. I guess that's the only way you learn things. Most of the people.
Fair. Yeah, I guess that really, also comes down to like theory versus practical. I feel like design is obviously a lot more practical. You can be taught the theory of it. Same with engineering, you can be taught the definitions, this and that. Um, but you have to practice it to like create something. Ultimately, it's all practical. I don't know. I remember. So I did economics, and for us, whatever we studied is what was going to help us in our jobs. So, college, like not all of the subjects, of course, but for example, political economics or international economics or like econometrics and stuff, it was so much whatever you study is what you use. So, like that sort of connected for us, like when I went from being in economics to actually doing like a job, it did make sense. Like everything just connected. So, yeah, like practical does come in, but I think it's like a 60-40 ratio for us. So design is very different in that sense. You need to practice. It's a craft that you sort of need to keep on practicing and practicing, and like that's how you get better at it. But yeah.
One more thing One more thing that I would like to add over here is that the UI UX thing. I'm just not talking about the design thing. Design as a whole is different thing. Like this UI UX thing, product design that we are doing today, making the designs for mobiles, web applications, and all that. Anyhow, you do not have colleges which used to teach it back then. Maybe now there are many courses which teach you UI UX design altogether. But back then there were anyway no colleges that were teaching that. Your entire learning was being done through YouTube. Coursera or let's say other cohorts. Anyhow, the learning was happening through that because what I feel is that for anything to get to the textbook curriculum, it takes around 30 to 40 years. Anything that we are studying in colleges is something that was proved or maybe used in industry 30 or 40 years back because it is approved after a long time. Anything that you have to teach to the students that you have to approve and test over a long time. So design altogether that we were doing, the job that we were doing, anyway, nobody was teaching that. So I cannot really blame any institution for that because nobody knows what is really happening. Even the people who work, myself, when I was working in design within like 6 years, things have changed so drastically. We were used to work on XD back then. Sketch was also something that people used to do in 19 or 18. Since then, there has been Figma. Yeah, exactly. So Figma was one of the biggest change. Then how are you going to use the auto layout? How the components are going to be used? And Then there were style guides which came into the play. Then there were variables that came into the play. Everything was changing drastically. The mode of the mobile was also changing. I believe people were also designing for Apple watches at one time. So the screen resolution changed after one point of time. Your responsive design was also, yeah, your responsive design was also something which was very new. Technology was changing very quickly. So how can I even expect anybody to teach that? Because in order to teach something, you have to make the curriculum for that, and curriculum takes time. So anyhow, most of the things that we are doing, and even all the design that we have learned till now, most of that might not be required. Like I don't think maybe 2 years or 1 year down the line, anybody's gonna use Figma to make the custom designs and all that. Nobody's gonna do that. People might just make design systems. They will let AI know about the design system. They will make the wireframes, and AI will make the entire design. That's it. Why do you want to get into making the Figma designs?
Fair. Yeah, I feel like a lot of this is already changing, right? Like with AI agents coming in with like products like Replit and stuff, you can literally sit down on a single day, create an app, test, iterate continuously, send out an MVP, have people like actually test it, give you feedback, build it, expand it, and it's happening so fast that the design process is changing. Like that's what, well, I think more and more designers are realizing that like the entire design process, what we have learned, like the 5 steps, converge, diverge, the diamond process, and things like that, it's not going to be the same again. And we need to come up with like new processes and like see how we can just ship products fast. And obviously have like good quality products that actually are solving for users. But the time has reduced drastically. And I think it's both exciting, but it's also a little bit daunting for me at least. Like, how do you feel about that? Do you see your process changing as of now, or like, what does your design process look like these days?
So I guess I kind of agree with the way things are gonna be executed in the coming days. That's drastically gonna change. But I would like to disagree with one point where you were saying that process is maybe going to change altogether. I don't think that, at least for some time, the process is kind of gonna, even today, like I use the same process, the double diamond thing or the design thinking process. It's just that for each step of this process, I'm utilizing AI for anything. Let's say for diverging on the problem statement, I am utilizing AI to get more better research through Perplexity AI. While converging on the problem statements, I'm using ChatGPT or Claude to get me how might be statements or problem statements that we have to work on, while working on expanding on the diverging on the solution. And I'm again utilizing ChatGPT or let's say any other platform to get better design examples of like how other companies are using it. I'm still utilizing humans in this. Like we still have workshops to ideate on any of the problems. We have marketing people, we have sales people, we have tech people, product people sitting in the same room discussing what the how might be statements, what can be some of the problem solutions that you can think of. We still take that. But now in order to analyze all of those results, I'm utilizing AI. So let's say that in the past, if I was using the design process to execute any design in let's say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I can now do that within 2 to 3 days, 4 days max. So I would say the process is still the same. The process has not changed entirely. Although I've read some of the articles, like there was one of the articles which was by one of the persons. They mentioned that after Claude and all that, the process altogether has also changed. I read about that article, but I kind of disagreed with that. Like even right now, I kind of disagree with that. So process will remain the same because process has remained the same altogether. Design thinking as a thing is which might stay with us forever.
Makes sense. I mean, Um, I do feel that you do need the process, of course, because it's been tried and tested for years and years. And like you mentioned, right, this design process that we have exists in like multiple spaces. You used to use it in your theater society, and like the structure of it largely remains the same. But what I'm hearing from you is that at every step you are using AI because it makes your work faster. And like human intervention is obviously going to be there because ultimately we are the ones who are solving the problem, or like like creativity still has to come from humans, I believe. Like AI can be creative, of course, but there are limitations to it, and I think we all know that it's not like it doesn't think on its own right now. It probably go not probably it actually goes by like what we are telling the agent to do and like things like that. So it's not creative entirely. So yeah, that exists, but I do have this one interesting question because I have faced this. Let's say if we're using AI or if we're using agents to sort of help us with the problem statement, crafting the hypothesis, how might we statements, empathy mapping, basically any part of the design process. At least this is my personal learning, or like this is my process wherein until and unless I have done the work myself, or I've read that, like, let's say my five how might we statements through and through, and it's fed in my brain completely, I won't be like, I won't remember it. If like AI has just given me the statements and I use them without like reading them through and through, like just repeating them in my head again and again, it won't like feed into my brain. And if it doesn't feed into my brain, there is no way that I will be able to solve it properly. So I need to like sort of really take everything, feed into my brain to actually be able to solve it. And that takes time. Um, but yeah, like, is that something that happens with you, or are you like able to just take whatever AI is giving you and go with it? Like, how does that work for you? How does the design process in that sense work for you?
I guess in all of this thing there comes a very important factor, which is accountability. At the end of the day, you use AI, you use AI agents to get your work done. But if the solution fails, who is accountable for that? You are accountable for that. It is like being a manager. You have some employees who are working under you. They might be amazing, they might be very good, but at the end of the day, if the project fails, you are the one who is going to be blamed for that. Nobody else is going to be blamed for that because you are the one who approved that. You are the one who kind of agreed with all that. Okay, and that happens everywhere. Let's say US does something bad. Nobody else is going to be blamed other than Donald Trump because, or like the president, whosoever is president at that point of time, because they're accountable for that. So accountability is one of the biggest things. If ChatGPT fucks up anywhere, you are not gonna go and punish ChatGPT. You're not gonna go and penalize ChatGPT. You're gonna go and penalize the person who was responsible for using that ChatGPT. And even today, that thing is happening. Exactly, like even today, like when people are making some deep fakes or any other bad thing that they're using through AI, people are not exactly blaming AI. Obviously, like people are blaming AI as a technology altogether. But at the end of the day, the person who is going to be penalized or going to be punished is the one who used AI to do all of these things in a longer run. Similarly, the when you're making things through AI, you can obviously appreciate AI that okay, it facilitated my work, but the credit of the entire work will still be with you because you are the one who were the man or the director of all that thing. So getting onto this thing, I guess one of the biggest downsides of AI at this point in time is that when I am using it is that it sometimes hallucinates. It's like you tell it 10 things to do, and let's say 9 things it does perfectly, but one thing is where he like ChatGPT kind of fucks up in a way that I don't know how to wrap that thing up. Let's say like just a few days back, I was making one of the poetry posts, and I just said, you know what, this is the poetry line that I think, this is the scenario that I'm thinking. I want a comic strip of this thing, but in this one, make sure that in each scene this person does things, all of these things. Now, the output that the AI created was amazing. Like, I literally loved the comic strip that it created. The dialogues were amazing, and the way it was written, everything was perfect. But in the final slide, I don't know how it just hallucinated. It just gave my character name as Akash. I'm like, I never said Akash. Who said Akash? Where did Akash come from? And I'm like, what to do to maybe like because entire thing is good, but in the last step, what to do? So in ChatGPT, you also have an option to maybe highlight that section and edit that. But with Gemini, I did not have that because I did not have the plus version. I took it to Figma and then I changed that thing over there and then I posted it. So that is something which is happening with me. Please continue.
Was it like it the comic strip first frame, second frame, third frame says Vaibhav, 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 and then it just said Akash? or just randomly threw like Akash into the last frame?
I had not given any name to my character in that strip. From somewhere, I don't know where Akash came. Exactly. So that's the thing. Now when I ask it to maybe let's just change the final step, it will unnecessarily change the first four steps also. I'm like, I don't change that. I particularly told you not to change that. But even then it does.
Yeah, I believe that also happens with agents a lot, like when you're using Figma Make or Lovable, I experience this problem so much. And even with Replit for that matter, you tell it to change one thing and it's changing like three, four things around, and then you're just stuck with changing those three, four things as well, right? And like, it becomes frustrating because it's a small change. You can do it yourself in like 30 seconds. But because you're right, AI is hallucinating, it just becomes really frustrating. And like I get that. I get that. But one thing that I have noticed personally, and let me know what you think as well, is that ChatGPT is still a lot more um has like a slightly higher EQ than your Claude or your Gemini. Gemini is really good for image creation, and Claude is really good for like your coding stuff, comparing stuff. Like Claude acts as a better search engine. That has been my experience. Like I've used all three products, but I also use like Chat GPT for like, like help me create like a trip plan or like give me advice on this thing or this and that, because it's a lot more empathetic, I would say. Empathetic is the word. Claude is for comparing and like technical stuff, and Gemini is for like image creation. So have you seen this? Like, or are you just using like one chatbot as of now?
No, but I've used ChatGPT, I've used Gemini, I've used Grok also, I've used Claude also. Recently, I like just few days back, I used Claude because somebody told me that please use Claude once. And like, okay, cool, let me use it. So what I have realized is that okay, no doubt, no, like Gemini has very very good image generation. Out of all other platforms that I use for image generation, it was very good in that. Perplexity was very good in research work. Whenever I need, let's say, because it gives me the links of the research also. ChatGPT does that also, but I don't know. I just feel like Perplexity does it better. Like that's just my perception
ChatGPT
towards it.
links are not always clickable, but Perplexity, I agree, is on point there. Yes.
Exactly. So in terms of research, I would always use Perplexity. Now about this empathetic thing and like it being more personal and all that, Claude being more professional. I think all of these things can very easily be managed. Just give it a prompt. Please be more empathetic. That's it. At the end of the day, these all are just LLM models. These are just LLM models, and it's like the basic programming which has been done from the back end for most of those. Let's say Grok has been kind of programmed in a way that just be unhinged. Say whatever you want to say. Um, at the same time, there was DeepSeek. There was one AI that came from China also, right? And
I don't remember the name, but I know what you're talking about. I remember the logo a little
hmm.
bit.
So there were some limitations which are kept over there that you cannot speak about the against the leader of China and all that. So these are just some basic things that they do from the back end. But in terms of like how they are reacting with you, how they are like con doing the conversation with you is kind of the same. You can modulate that. And I guess in the longer run, all of these are kind of gonna become the same thing. Because maybe Perplexity will learn something from ChatGPT will learn something from Claude, and these LLM models will learn on their own and just become better. Like even this hallucination thing that we are mentioning right now, they might become better in that. They obviously will. They obviously will. And that is how the evolution works. That is how the evolution works. Like you can literally exactly. Like it started in 2022. It started in 2022, and we already know where we are. I still remember I was in Wayanad, Kerala. It was December 2022 when first ChatGPT thing came out. Like you can just talk to AI. It will give you a reply based on. And since then we have come here where almost everything is been done by AI.
It was the copywriters who first like started using it for their copies and stuff. And yeah, like their work became efficient first, or like got affected first, like depends on how you take it. But yeah, I remember that, yeah. And it was quite this revolutionary thing that's like, sort of come in. Oh my God, there's this chatbot. And yeah, I remember
So
exactly where I was.
after 4 years, we are literally debating. Now we are at that stage where we are debating that maybe within a few years they will take our jobs. So it's a major growth by AI within 4 years. So if within 4 years it has done this, what are they gonna do in the coming year?
But do you think 4 years is like quite too long of a time for like the improvement that's happened in chat GPT? I mean, yeah, if you actually think about it, right? Like not 4, but like 3 years, because it came at the end of 2022. But if I think about it in that sense, it's like the process has been slow. I mean, maybe it could have gone faster, like given the amount of features that have been added.
Okay, so this is also where one more interesting thing comes into play, that which part of AI is accessible to you. I guess like there are a lot more intelligent AI and all of those things already available, but like the ones which are made available to us is not the most advanced one. So it is possible, obviously, that we already have a lot more advanced AI already. It's just that it's not made accessible to us. Yeah, it's in testing exactly. So, and even the AI that we are using today was maybe already there 2 to 3 years back. It was just made accessible to us very recently. That's what I think.
Not actually, not 2 to 3 years. I think I read somewhere that the work on AI has been going on since the 2000s or something. So AI has been around for a very long time. And obviously, it was just in testing stage. And, Siri is also, in that sense, like a more simpler version of AI. But yeah, AI has been around and in the testing and research stage for like decades, 2, 3 decades now. And that was quite shocking because I'm sure people in the valley knew that, this is happening. People are testing it out, but we had no clue. And suddenly this thing comes in. And now people are actually talking about like whether artificial special intelligence, I think you call it, because what we have right now is AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. I think the next advanced version would be like the special intelligence that might be around the corner too. So yeah, I do see that. But tell me one thing, like what is the next thing you would want from agents or AI that you think will help you in like becoming a better designer?
The first thing would be to please spare me and my employment. The first thing is that I would want that from AI. But yeah, like that's an interesting thing. I would say more or less, just please stop hallucinating for now. Like that's the only basic thing that I want. That I don't really have any aspirational thinking as in like what more can I do with AI. I guess mm, the most of the things that I want AI to do is something that it is already doing. I just need to buy the premium version of those to use that. Let's say I really want to use the Sora AI. I really want to make films. I really want to make moving pictures with some of the ideas that I already have. Like not from the design end, but if I talk about my writing and or my poetry end, sometimes I just feel like I already have a very good idea in my head. I maybe just want to make a movie out of it. I maybe just want to make a video out of it. Like comic strips, and this is something that I'm already doing. But what if I could make a video altogether with my idea? So I maybe just need access of that. I just need some money to buy the pro version of that. But yeah, other than that, I don't really think I have any requirements from ChatGPT or like AI altogether right now.
Interesting. Definitely, like all the good things come with the paid version, which is fair also, I guess. Like, we have to think about the business side of it. But I was recently listening to this designer. She's called Jenny Wen. She's the designer at Anthropic. And she said something which really made a lot of sense for me. And she said something about, and she was talking about coding. And she said something like, sometimes when you're working with agents and they're doing all of the work for you, if you want them to make like a small change, telling them to do it obviously like takes a lot of time, and you can just go in and do it within a second, but you don't always have that like freedom, which really made me think that that is so true. Because if we think about it, right, right, as designers, we use Figma, and in Figma, when you're designing on the canvas, all you can use AI for mostly is to replace content, and that it does really fast, which is really cool. Like it saves up so much time. Or you go on Figma Make, you copy paste a design, and you have to give it like a really extensive prompt, and um it creates that design for you, and you can copy that design, sure, and you can bring it back to your canvas. But just that part of copying one screen, bringing it back, making edits, whatever, is time consuming. And I did look up into all of this. I did some research, tried to figure out how AI exists right now. And what I found out was that AI either exists as an agent, which is like your Replit, Figma Make, Lovable, all of these products, or it exists in a very assisting capacity wherein you're doing most of the work and it can come in and like do small tasks. And I was vibe coding on Replit recently, and I was trying to create a meal planning app. And it was a very simple app. And while I was giving it like these prompts to create these flows, Replit was doing that really quickly. But for small stuff, it was really struggling. So, ideally, what I realized was that with agents, agents take the same amount of time to do the big tasks and the small tasks. The difference is really less. Like if I ask Replit or if I ask Figma Make to create like three features for me, which are like really extensive features, it will do that in 5 minutes. And that part is a time saver, because for me as a designer, I've mapped everything out. I know what I want. But for me to actually create it now, it's going to take time. So if someone is coming in and doing that for me really quickly, great. Like it's saving me time. I can iterate, create options, all of those things. But there was this moment in Replit when on my main screen there was a CTA, which was literally about like, I think at the start it was 60 pixels big. So it was like a circular button in the middle of the page, and it was basically to approve a meal or like reject a meal. It was 60 pixels long. I asked Replit to like reduce the size of it to a standard button size, and for some reason it reduced it to 24 pixels. And then I was like, no, no, keep it at 40 pixels. But then it kept it at 40 pixels, but shifted everything around. And I remember spending like 1 hour at now getting this hallucination right. And I was like, this is so frustrating. This was like a 2-minute job for me on the canvas. So I really feel like we need like a third type of AI which sits on the canvas with us and sort of collaborates with us. And you can, like, it has to be like a 50-50% effort wherein I can create the things or I can prompt it right there. And if I need to come in, change things, I can do that quickly, let AI come in again. But it has to be like a collaborative process more for it to become more efficient, rather than like either using agents or using AI as an assist. Because I also like, what's happening a lot is that even though agents are great and are creating quick products, they still cannot be like full-fledged products that you can actually launch for the end user. It's like MVPs that you can create for testing. So testing becomes fast, but companies or people still cannot launch like full on products, because that is going to take some time. Like you need a lot of human intervention, time, just map everything out, make sure screens are working, things like that, which the agent is just not there yet. And like I feel like for me personally, if AI comes in a collaborating capacity, that would make things so much easier and so much more fun for me, because then I can actually like create a lot. Yeah.
But I guess Figma Make is kind of already doing that now because what it now does is that when you give it a prompt, when you give it a prompt, it makes the editable components out of it. So if they fuck up anywhere, you can go and edit it on your own as well. So I guess that is how Figma Make makes it more easy.
You can do it, but you can only copy like one screen at a time. So it's like you copy one screen, take it back, go to so there's like a lot of back and forth, which again is like it eats up your time. Like it's doing that and it's doing it really well, but like just like on the canvas, if the agent exists, I think that would be really wonderful and just help me make things fast. But